So in my new effort to stay on YouTube and to do more videos and get back into the game, let's talk about link monsters that would make me happy. Your turn, Yugi boy. What is up guys, AlintheaYoh, and today we are going to talk about some link monsters that I think should be released for decks and or archetypes. So I have like five or six. I kind of was trying to do like a top 5, but I'm just going to talk about 6 because why not? So I've got 6 that I want to talk about, and this is just personal preference. I'm sure there'll be a lot of decks out there that people will want, and archetypes that links that will want, obviously, that haven't been announced just yet, but we can hope that they will be there for us. So starting us off, we're going to go straight back to basics, and I want to talk about toons. I want a toon link monster. You might be thinking, why? Why do you need a toon link monster? They don't really go into the extra deck. Well, you might be right, but the thing that a link monster for toons would do is that it would allow them to utilize other cards that they have in their deck. Currently, there are 2 ways to build toons, in my opinion, with the monster lineup that they have. You can rely on the level 4 build, which is just using things like Gemini Elf and Mass Sorcerer to kind of generate advantage, kind of control the duel a little bit, or you can go into more of the heavier monster build, which is going to be using the Red Eyes and the Dark Magician to manipulate monsters, get them out on the field a bit quicker. So with the benefits of having the heavier monster lineup, that's where you would look to have a link monster. And the link monster should be something that's a kind of deck master. If you want to theme it in that way, you can have more of a deck master, kind of like Pegasus, but something a little bit more mysterious. The card's kind of design could be, but what it should really do is protect Toon World or Toon Kingdom, because that's basically what is needed for the deck. The deck is just not that great because you need to control and protect a continuous spell card or a field spell card, and with things like Galaxy Cyclone out, yeah, it's kind of difficult. Having a link monster for toons would be a nice step forward. I was kind of excited when Konami were doing the, the 1 toon per set, but they stopped at toon, Barrel Dragon, I think, just because it was so bad. They didn't even try with that one. And then they just never really did anything with them after that, which is a grave mistake. I think it's a grave problem. You need to keep something like that going because toons is such a not even a glass cannon, because a glass cannon refers to a deck that OTKs. It's just a glass structure of a deck that relies so heavily on one card, and without that card you really can't do a lot. I know that they obviously address some of the newer cards, the monsters, and the fact that if Toon World or Toon Kingdom wasn't on the field, it wouldn't just instantly be destroyed, but it still has that destructional effect built in. So having a Toon Link monster would be absolutely awesome. Not necessarily, as I said, to promote having special summons from the extra deck, but it would help in the fact that it could benefit the overall strategy of the deck. So it could be a very simple one link or something like that. Even something like if a Toon World or Toon Kingdom would be destroyed, you can send a co-linked monster instead. That would be quite cool. Next up is one that I think actually got absolutely destroyed by the Master Rule 4, and that is Buster Blader. I would really, really love a Buster Blader link monster, because, having Buster Dragon and Buster Blader out is now, the whole point, is the whole point of the deck kind of falls apart now, doesn't it? So I would really love to see one of those link monsters come out. It could basically, the best way I think they could design something like that is not to make it a big boss monster, not to make it something massive, just to be a support card. And what I mean by that is like a small type of dragon or something that's, just kind of cute and small, like, the support cards that they have for them to be able to get to them. I can't exactly remember what those dragons are, but the tuners that they basically have to be able to get to those dragons. It could be something like that, and I think that would actually be a really nice way to build the deck and have a link monster. I think the best zones or the best markers would be bottom left and bottom right, because the whole point is you want to get the Buster Blader out and the Buster Dragon out. You don't really need anything else to achieve the deck strategy, and the goal of the strategy is to have them, so having a link for 2 would be quite nice. What you could do is, for the extra requirements, you could say it just requires dragons or warriors, 2 dragons and or warriors, which would be quite good. It would fulfill the destiny of the deck quite nicely. It wouldn't make it too overpowered. You could have some form of built-in effects to protect those monsters if you really wanted, but once you have the Buster Blader out and the Buster Dragon, it's pretty decent. So maybe an overall spell and trap negation could be a nice thing there. But keeping it as a small monster would mean that it wouldn't be too broken, because you know, with the fact that if you do have the Buster Dragon out and the Buster Blader fusion, all your opponent's monsters are switched to defense and their effects are negated. So you don't need to have such a big monster. You can just have something that's quite nice, cute, simple, does the job, fills the void that has unfortunately been destroyed. Another one for me is, and this is very selfishly, obviously, it's Skull Servant. And I know we have a Vampire Sucker, I think, the Link monster that's coming out, just the generic zombie card, but I would absolutely love a Skull Servant Link monster, and I already know what it could be called. You could call it White Knight. See what is there? Multiple meanings, but White Knight would actually be a really nice card to have. I think the biggest thing that the effect could do, it could be a very simple point down if you really want. It could just be one link marker. It doesn't need to necessarily be anything big, but what it needs to do is protect your Skull Servants. And this is the big thing. It needs to protect them, and I quote, from monster effects. The biggest problem with the deck is that, well, there's obviously a couple of problems with the deck, but you've got Lady in the White, which protects level 3 and lowers from spell or trap cards. I actually think there needs to be something that protects from monster effects as well. So you could have the exact same effect. The level 3 or lower zombie monsters on the field, protect them from monster effects. They're unaffected by monster effects. I think that'd be actually a really cool thing. Now, obviously that will have a certain impact on possibly your own effects. Things like Uni-Zombie obviously wouldn't be able to increase the level or whatever, so there could be some refining moments needed there. Maybe, I don't know, it could be something along the lines of your opponents, unaffected by your opponent's card effects of the monsters. That would actually be quite nice, and I think that would work really well. But it would be really cool to see a Link monster for Skull Servants. I think it makes sense. I don't think it's actually outside the realm of possibility for it, considering that whites are something that actually Konami seem to like, and the OCG seem to like it as well, and obviously TCG, I love them, and I will eventually be doing an updated version, don't worry. It's just something that I think could actually be very feasible, and a very cool thing to do. So get on it, Konami. I want to see a Link monster for Skull Servants. This choice actually goes out to my old school friend Pewsley, which goes back a very long time. But I would actually love to see a Fabled Link monster. Fabled's got absolutely mullered on the most recent Master Rule update, because they needed a Link monster to achieve the deck's goal. I know there is obviously that Kriston Link monster that's coming out that is just for synchros, but I think there needs to be a Fabled one. There definitely needs to be one that actually supports the actual deck, being able to special summon your Fableds back from the graveyard maybe, which would be quite a nice thing. When it is special summoned, you get to bring one back, something like that. That would be quite nice. And Link markers, you kind of need to have as many as possible, because that's just how Fableds go. There's so much special summoning, it's absolutely ridiculous. I know there's obviously the unicorn control, but that's not what really this would be used for, in my opinion. I don't think. I mean, you can make it as generic as possible, and it could actually be used for something like that. But I actually think the best place where it lies is with just the overall spamming of Fableds, because that's what they do best, and that's what they do the most. And I actually really like them. I do miss Fableds. I still have the entire deck DT. I'll never get rid of it, because it is my friend's Pewsley's, who quit a long time ago. And it's one of those decks that I'll never get rid of, because I actually love them as well, the entire thing in DT. But I digress. I would love to see a Link monster. I think having possibly, I don't know, you could say it needs, say, 2 or 3 Fable monsters, and it can be like a Link, let's say 3 or 4, and it points down to the bottom left, bottom right, and bottom. That could be quite nice, but at the same time you could have it pointing up as well to give your opponent some form of retribution, let's say, and and being able to not just make it so completely unbalanced that it's completely in your favor. Giving your opponent a Link zone or a live Link zone would be probably beneficial for that. So some form of Fabled one would be really, really cool to see. Maybe even a new Fabled monster, that would actually be really nice. Penultimate one for me here is, and it isn't actually Herald. I'm not actually going to say Herald needs one. It would be nice, but I don't think they need one, to be honest. I guess that could be an honourable mention. But Fluffles is one that I actually think needs a Link Monster very, very desperately, so badly, so badly. The whole deck requires fusions, and it's spamming fusions, and while there might be some useful links out there, the generic ones, you kind of need a themed one. It makes so much sense to be able to do so, and it can just be used to, its main effect can just be used to recur like a polymerization type card or a fusion card from your graveyard. You know, something like that would be quite nice, but I guess with the strategy of the card it would make sense if it pulled it from deck. I know there are a lot of ones that do that currently for the deck, but the whole point is to recruit out. You can just have maybe 2 link zones on it, so 2 markers on it, sorry, just to kind of ease the burden. It could be, say, like a left and a right, it could be, which would be quite a nice one, because, you know, Fluffles can special summon quite easily and a lot, so being able to go into like an easy scale 1's not a problem, and a link 1, sorry, I mean not scale, link 1 to point down, then you can summon that, and then you have either sides as well, so it'd be quite nice. I think making again another Fluffle monster would be quite good, a new one, that would add to the deck strategy. It doesn't need to do anything special, as I said, it can just recruit cards, but you could have something built in like a proxy dragon effect to say if one would be destroyed you can get rid of a co-linked card, or if it would be targeted by something you could get rid of a co-linked card. That might be quite nice, because it means that you can use things like Fluffle Sheep and not have it work against you. It's some reoccurring materials for you, and it would go towards the deck strategy as well, so I just think that would be quite nice. And then finally, coming up, there's one that I would absolutely love, and I don't see any reason why they wouldn't do something like this. It would make sense considering the love for it, but we need a Utopia. You know, we 100% need a Utopia link, because it just makes sense to me. It really does. I love the Utopia deck. I've always loved it for a very long time. I just enjoy the spamming aspect of it. It's just really fun, and you just can't really spam it all that much anymore. I really liked summoning out multiple ones. You know, being able to go into like ZW, equip it as well, you just can't do that anymore. You have to go into some generic stuff. It's just not that great. It's really difficult to achieve the deck's goal. So being able to have a Utopia Link monster would be so cool, because I would instantly revisit that deck. I've already got it like kind of on the side as something that I could potentially work on if I get more Link monsters that I think could work. But right now they just don't work at all, and I don't really like it. I just want to be able to use like Hope, Zexel Hope or whatever it is, the basically little Shockmaster. I want to use stuff like that. It's really cool and fun, and just the deck is fun and quick with, you know, Utopia tactics and all this, and it's just depressing. Like, give me my fun cards. So I think Utopia 1 would actually be really cool. You could say that it could maybe tutor out some of the equip cards, let's say, for Utopia. That would actually be a really nice effect, much how what ZW does. It equips to it type thing, and does search out as well if you detach a material from it. I think it would be quite nice if you just, when it's special summoned, you can add a, you know, equip monster from your deck to your hand. That'd be quite nice, so that it can then go onto Utopia. You only really need like 2 links on that one, so that's quite a nice one to have. But yeah, I want to know what you guys think. Which decks and archetypes do you really want to have link monsters that maybe haven't been announced? Well, obviously haven't been announced just yet, because it'd be a bit pointless if you said, I'd like it to have this, but we're already getting one. So don't be selfish, because some of us over here have none. There are obviously loads of decks that I would love to have specific link monsters. You know, Herald of Perfection, that just a Herald link monster would be awesome. Cyber Angels would be really cool. Just like a generic Synchron monster. As I said, I know the Kriston one's there, but some form of themed Synchron one would be really cool. I just think every deck should just get at least one, just to try and achieve the deck strategy once more, because Master Rule 4 did destroy a lot of things. So as I said, I want to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comment section below. Make sure to give me a like, comment, subscribe, and I should catch you guys later.